Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Rob and I talk about high-end collectible comics and comics art. Subscribe if that's your kind of thing. I love to talk about comics and I post 1 or 2 videos a week doing just that. This video is not about comics. I have been teasing this for a little while and here we go. So I have a consignment with Heritage going on right now. I've said it's books without pictures. It's books. Spoilers, it's books. And I just wanted to share my consignment because it behooves me to share the consignment, and it is actually interesting to talk about the things I collect. And I haven't really talked about the things I even used to collect in a while, right? The closest I got was that Stormwatch 37 video. Although there's one coming up shortly that will talk about something that I owned that I really loved. So that'll be fun. And no spoilers on that one. I'm going to let you guys figure that one out. So anyway, I have a consignment of books by the author William Gibson. So you may know Neuromancer. You may know Neuromancer. But he's done Difference Engine. But he's done a bunch of stuff. So Peripheral, Virtual Light, Idoru, Burning Chrome. Johnny Mnemonic is from a story in that, the Keanu Reeves movie. And apparently Neuromancer, I didn't even know this, and I have a consignment going out like right in time for this, apparently. Apparently Neuromancer is going to be on Apple TV, which is cool. Great story. One of my favorite books of all time. And so I am not going to go into too much depth on the books and why I love them, because this is a comic channel. But if you're really curious, I might do a short about a couple of them, right? So I'll do, yeah, I have like, there's one from each of the kind of trilogies that he does, one book from each that I particularly like. It just worked out that way. And so if you think it's useful, I might talk for 3 minutes about why I like one or the other of them. Let me know in the comments if you want to hear why, right? It might be fun. I might just do it anyway. But I don't want to do too long a video on this because, you know, some of you are going to be sitting there going, Rob, this isn't comic books. I need pictures. I need pictures too, but I like books. So anyway, let's take a look at what I'm consigning. Here we go. So link in the description to my consignments. It's basically 3 big individual books or noteworthy individual books, and then 4 group lots that are kind of cool. I think are kind of cool. So let's look at them. The big one, well, not right now, but in general, the big one is this, which is the first hardcover edition of Neuromancer. It's not the true first edition. I have one of those, and I'll talk about that in a second, but this is the first edition of Neuromancer. I love this book. Like I said, it's one of my favorite books of all time. Not all my favorite books are sci-fi, but when they are, they're written by William Gibson, and actually Neil Stephenson, but who's counting? So it took me a while to get this book. I kept bidding on it, and it's like I'm not a super expert on books, and so I'm kind of just guessing at the value, and I never wanted to be like a crazy person putting in like a hyper crazy bid to just ensure I won something. And so it took a few years of trying, honestly. And it wasn't like I'm looking at every book auction for 10 years. It was like I was basically looking at Heritage, Swan, and a couple of other places to buy my books. So there you go. And eventually, and this is full transparency here. I do this to other people all the time. I tell you what a consignor paid for a book, and I'm sure there's consignors out there that are like, why did he have to tell them what I paid? What's wrong? Why is he such a jerk like about me? Well, I'm doing it to myself. I bought this book. So current bid is $1,550 with buyer's premium. That's like almost $2,000. I bought it for $2,000 in 2018. So really cool purchase. It came in like a custom case. It looks like an old-timey book. There's like this custom case, which is really crazy. And so yeah, so I've had it for a long time. I've enjoyed owning it. And now is the time to sell. You may be asking, like, why did you sell this stuff, Rob? Like what drove you to sell it? And so I'll show you in a second. So here we go. Now this is a pandemic sale. Heritage sold a copy of this for $16,250. It's nicer than mine, but not that much nicer. This is a pandemic sale. But there have been other sales like close to or above $10,000. And so I've seen those results coming, I guess because of the Apple TV TV show or streaming show. People are getting hyped on the book. But I saw some of those results and I was like, maybe I should sell this thing. Like I've enjoyed owning it, but I'm not like buying his new books first edition because I'm just not paying attention to that right now. Things are going on, whatever. So if I'm not actively adding to a collection, sometimes I just want to sell it, right? And that's happened to me on a couple of occasions. If I'm not like actively like building something, it's like, well, maybe it's time to sell. And then I got some news over the past few years that this book has kind of increased a lot. So if I get anywhere near, even $10,000, I mean, it's obviously a great buy. But if I get, and this is, another piece of evidence, if I get nearly $6,000, which is what the book sold for in their last book's signature auction, that's great. I'm psyched. So, but yeah, so some of the values have just gone crazy, and like I said, I'm not adding to the collection anymore. So let's do it. And Heritage makes it easy, right? You just send them a list, and then the books disappear, and you get a check later. So the other big one, and this is not, I did not think that this was a big one when I sent it in. I thought I would do pretty well on this. But this like went crazy. I think the initial bid was $1 on this, and it's already at $1,700, which is, over $2,000 with buyer's premium. And again, full disclosure, I bought it from Swan for $687.50 in 2019. And so I was shocked to see this go for $1,700. And if you look around, this is already like just a crazy, crazy price for this book. It doesn't sell that often. There's only 350 of them. Heritage has reach, and there's no way around that. And hopefully the fact that I'm selling like basically a near complete collection of William Gibson books helps bring eyeballs to this. But I'm already over the moon. It's $1,700 on this is a great result already. And it's still got, this auction ends December 14th. So it's still got a ways to go. So this is the other reason. So this is, Neuromancer was originally published as a paperback, okay, which is, they took a flyer on this book. So this is the true first edition of Neuromancer. That handsome hardcover from Golanx is not the true first edition. This is. This book is not easy to find in nice condition. I found several. I've owned several of this. I just sold, actually on eBay, like 8 months ago, a copy that I bought for $10 for something like 180 or something like that. This book is gone. This true first edition has gone crazy. And this was really the thing that got me to sell this collection. So this one, which was, like I said, is nicer than the one I just sold, I bought again in 2019 for $140. I had already had multiple copies of this, but I was looking for a nicer one. And as you can see, this one is really pretty nice. It's not perfect, but it's a really sharp copy. And so, yeah, I got it for $140, which is what it sold for in 2019. It was a reasonable price. So this one is signed, but this one is signed. But in May of this year, and this is what drove me to just contact them, this signed first edition, which is not as nice as the one I'm selling, sold for over $1,000. And I was like, forget it. I mean, come on. So yeah, this is what drove me to sell it. And so, I'm not going to get $1,000, but I'll do pretty well. And I guess the time is now. I don't know. Maybe this thing will turn into The Hobbit, and it'll be selling for $100,000 in 10 years. But whatever. Still having fun. I'm having fun. Look at me. I'm smiling. I'm enjoying the auction already, and there's still 2 weeks to go. So here's a group lot that actually represents books from each of his main trilogies. So he's got 4 main trilogies. Neuromancer is the big one, and that's where it all started in cyberpunk and cyberspace and basically everything that we live in today kind of is spawned by him and some, again, Neil Stephenson. But people read these books and then wanted to make them real, and some of the things we have today are basically based on William Gibson and then the Sprawl trilogy. So that's Neuromancer, Count Zero, and then the last book in that is this, Mona Lisa Overdrive. The Bridge trilogy, so there's two of those here. So it's Virtual Light, you'll see that in a minute, Idoru, and All Tomorrow's Parties. And then there's a third trilogy, the Blue Ant trilogy, which includes one of my favorite books by him, Pattern Recognition, but then Spook Country and Zero History, which are phenomenal. And then finally, and I only have one of those, and this is what I was talking about, he's published a second book in the Jackpot trilogy, and I only bought The Peripheral. I didn't buy the second book. I didn't buy a first edition of Agency. So there you go. It's like, that was, I was like, well, if I'm not buying the books, am I really collecting anymore? I don't know, whatever. But this is interesting because it represents one book from each, at least one book from each. And then there's a couple of other lots that cover the rest of them. Obviously, those Neuromancer ones, but I'll show you a couple of others in a second. This is the second book from the Sprawl trilogy, Count Zero. I have both the first American and first British editions signed. Nice little lot. Very cool. And I mentioned it before, Johnny Mnemonic is from a short story collection called Burning Chrome. I have the paperback edition and then two copies, neither of which are signed, which kind of drives me crazy. I have two copies of the first edition hardcover. And finally, the first book in the Bridge trilogy is called Virtual Light. And I have two editions from Bantam Press. So they're both first editions. One is a special limited edition, the green one. It's limited to 150 copies, both signed. And so, yeah, that's where we're at today. This is me, Cyberpunk Rob, reading Neuromancer. Look at how excited I am. I love that book. So, I mean, there is that. That's actually true to life. That's what I look like every day. I don't look like that. I wear suits and don't have like electronics all over my body. Anyway, like I said, I have a video coming up that is actually going to cover a comic book I used to own. It's the next installment of my favorite comics, that infrequent but beloved series, at least beloved by me because I get really excited talking about comics I love. I have it's on the schedule to get the Heritage recent signature auction, the review of that. I talked about the Superman #1. I did a short about the Superman 233 cover, but I haven't covered the rest of the auction. I need to do that. And I think that Comic Link auction is ending soon. I might have to cover that. Yeah, so I'm going to be busy over the next week. But, thanks for indulging me and having me talk about books without pictures. This was fun to talk about because I loved owning these books. It was really a lot of fun. I loved putting together this kind of like, not a full reference collection. There's some editions of his work that I didn't have. But I tried. I did pretty well. And obviously people are excited to buy my book. So yeah, thank you. If you haven't yet, please subscribe, drop a like, drop a comment, make fun of this ridiculous AI image I created of myself. I didn't create anything. I just typed in a prompt, but it's funny. This is why I use AI, is to make jokes about myself. That's what I do. So yeah, thank you. And, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.